Hello, my Italian food fanatics. Today we're going to make a very interesting pasta. It's pappardelle with a white chicken ragu, along with fennel. So we're going to do a sofrito or a mirepoix with a little bit of fennel in there. Then we're going to sweat that down. We're going to add some white wine. We're going to reduce that down. Add some chicken chicken first. Then we're going to add the white wine. And then we're going to reduce that down, add in our chicken stock, and reduce that down as well. Then we're going to add lemon zest, lemon juice, finish it with a little Parmigiano Reggiano, and some of those fennel fronds. It's going to be fantastic. But before I take you in the kitchen and show you how to do that, please hit the thumbs up button, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and leave me a comment if you're inclined to do so. I'd love to interact with you, all right? And tell me what you think of the dish of the day. Anyway, without any further ado, let's get into the kitchen so I can show you how to make this thing. All right, my Italian food fanatics, let's get started. We are going to start off with a normal sofrito, which is a mirepoix of carrots, onions, and celery. We're also going to add in a fennel, one fennel bulb. I'll show you how to break that down. But we are going to cut these into fine dice. All right, I don't think I need to show you how that's done, but I will show you how to fabricate this fennel. We're going to add a red chili in there. We're going to have some garlic. We'll do a little bit of white wine, as well as some chicken stock, and we're going to take chicken thighs and cut them up very, very fine, small dice or small pieces, and we will saute that in there with pappardelle and a little bit of lemon zest and some lemon juice to finish it off with a little bit of cheese. It's going to be delicious. So let's get started. All right, my Italian food fanatics, how do we deal with a fennel bulb? First, we're going to cut the tops off like this, and we're not going to discard these. These fronds we're going to keep. We pull them off like this, and this will be garnish for our pasta, okay? They look great, and they have a lot of flavor in them, so we're not going to throw them away. But what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to take a few of these off, and we're going to reserve them for garnish a little bit later. I'll do that on my own without boring you. But now let's get together with this bulb here. We cut down the center of the bulb. You have to be careful because some of these bulbs are very, very hard. And now what we have here is this center part right here. All you got to do is come in like an upside down V and take it out. You don't want that. I've taken a little bit too much, but that's okay. That's not a problem. There you go. Now I do like to discard these outside leaves, and you can see that I haven't washed this just yet. But I've done this so that I can open it up and wash all the individual layers, and we'll come back and cut these into small dice. I'll show you how to do that in a second. All right, my Italian food fanatics, here we are. We're back with this fennel, and it's washed now. And all you have to do basically is do the exact same thing we do with any other vegetable. And that is cut it into strips like this. And then once those strips are cut, we then turn them sideways and chop them into small dice, just like this. Okay, this adds an anisey flavor to a dish that is not as appreciated in the Western world as it should be. And when I mean Western world, I'm talking about America. This is used extensively in Europe and especially in Italy. So this is the anise flavor that adds that je ne sais quoi. It's like, what did I taste? I don't know what it was, but it just tasted so good. This may have been what you were eating and didn't realize it. All right, so let me cut these up and we'll be back. All right, my Italian food fanatics, I've switched cutting boards because I'm going to cut up the chicken in just a moment. I just wanted to show you our mise en place, okay? So we have our onion, carrots, celery, our fennel. We have some garlic. We have a hot pepper. We have white wine over here. We have some roasted chicken stock over here. And of course, our fennel fronds over here. And what I will also use is pappardelle pasta, but we'll get to that when we get to that. So right now, we're going to take the chicken thighs and cut them into small pieces, and I'll be back to show you how that is going to happen. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we're here with the chicken. Now, these are boneless, skinless thighs, and of course, they don't take the fat off of them and the sinews and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim these up a little bit, and sometimes there's little bones stuck in here too that we don't want. So we're going to trim part of the fat away. We can't trim all of it. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that we're going to take everything away and still remain viable as far as costs are concerned. All right, and some fat is actually good. So here we go. We have that thigh. We're going to take off a little bit of this fat here. Okay, and we're going to leave that the way that it is. We can maybe get rid of this little area right here. Okay, and we're going to cut into strips like this. And then, of course, once we have these strips cut, we'll cut them across the grain like this to create small pieces. And the reason why we're using chicken thighs, I don't know if I've mentioned it yet, is because they can withstand a lot of cooking. All right, they can withstand not only very high heat, but cooking that lasts a longer time, an extended period of time, in either the oven or on the saute, without losing a lot of their flavor, without losing a lot of their texture, because unlike breast meat dries out instantly, and so for longer, this is going to actually cook for about 30 minutes. For longer cooks like that, you do not want to use the chicken breast. It's worthless because it's going to be overcooked. All right, so let me trim all of this up, and I will come back and we'll start cooking. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we're done cutting up the chicken, and now, believe it or not, I'm actually going to salt the chicken, because in this particular type of pasta, we're not using anything that's salty. There's no olives, there's no capers, there's nothing like that. So we do have to season the chicken just a little bit, okay? I didn't add a lot, but I did it so that it was seasoned properly and that we can move forward. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we have a pan on the heat, and we are going to add into our pan a little bit of 100% California extra virgin olive oil. How sweet it is. We'll wait for that to come up to temperature, and then we're going to saute or cook. We're going to sweat down our mirepoix or our sofrito, which also in this instance includes our fennel. So I'll be back when we're at that point. All right, my Italian food fanatics, our oil is up to temperature. We're going to now add our onions, and we're going to sweat these for just a few minutes, and then in about 2 or 3 minutes we'll add in the rest of our sofrito, including our fennel, and we'll be back. All right, it's been a couple of minutes. The onions are cooking down, and now we're going to add our celery, carrots, and fennel, and continue to sweat them down and cook. There's that secret ingredient. This is actually a very ancient, an old style of making a pasta, because there's no tomato product. This was back before the Spanish introduced tomatoes to the Italians. Believe it or not, carrots were their main way of making a sauce or a ragu back in the day. All right, so we'll come back when these are sweated down and we're ready to add our garlic and our chili. All right, my food fanatics, you can see that we're continuing to cook Now the idea is not to put any color on these, just to soften them a little bit. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of that we're not going to be sauteing and getting these caramelized. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we are now ready to add in our garlic, which is a very small amount, and of course we have one chili, and that's a pretty hot chili, but it's just enough to give us some heat. We want to just incorporate this for about 30 seconds until it gets a little bit fragrant, as you well know by now. All right, and we'll be back to add the chicken in just a second. All right, my Italian food fanatics, boy, the perfume that's coming off of this is phenomenal. Now we'll add our chicken in, and we're going to cook this for a few minutes. I'm going to push the sofrito to the side and keep the chicken in the center of the pan. And we'll cook this for a few minutes, being careful not to fully brown it. And then we're going to deglaze with a little bit of white wine. We'll be back. All right, my Italian food fanatics. We are almost to the point where we're going to add the wine. Not just yet, but I want to mention something. You probably noticed that I didn't add any salt into the sofrito or the mirepoix. And there's a reason for that. It's because we salted the chicken, and I will adjust the seasoning at the end of cooking. You know that I'm not a proponent of adding so much salt. When you get used to having salt, it's typical that people add too much salt and then end up with hypertension and high blood pressure, which is hypertension, and a lot of problems. When you go to restaurants, sometimes the food is inedible to me because it's so overly salted. Because these people are just adding salt and salt and salt. It's terrible. So just another minute or so and we'll add our wine. I'll be right back. All right, my Italian food fanatics. Now we're going to add a little bit of white wine in there. Now normally if we had fond on the bottom or we were browning, this would be deglazing, which means we would wipe everything up off of the bottom. But in this case, since it's a white ragu, we don't have that. So we'll just wait for this to cook down and evaporate, and I'll be back when we're ready to move forward and add our chicken stock. All right, my Italian food fanatics, you can see how this is starting to reduce down, and because of the heat with the oil mixing in with the wine, you see it's creating a temporary emulsion. This is the same type of an emulsion that we get with spaghetti aglio olio. But look how it's sort of thickening a little bit and reducing down. That's exactly what we want. Look how beautiful that is. Anyway, we'll be back in a minute when we're ready to add the chicken stock. All right, my Italian food fanatics, you see how you can hear how it's kind of sizzling, and that's exactly what we want. Let me turn this down so you can hear that sizzling. You know what that means? That means that the water has evaporated out of the wine, and that is that's the oil that's sizzling away. So now we are ready to add our chicken stock. We'll do that right now. And we're also going to add in some aromatics, which is thyme and a couple of bay leaves. We're going to bring this back up to a boil. Then we're going to cover it and we're going to let it simmer for about 40 minutes. All right, so I'll be back when we're there. It's almost back to a simmer. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we are now back to a simmer, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn the heat down. We're going to cover it up, and we're going to let it cook for about 40 minutes. And we'll be back when that's done. All right, my Italian food fanatics, our sauce is simmering away. I've now put on some water for the pasta. It's 4 cups of water, and we're going to add 2 teaspoons of regular table salt when it comes to a boil. We'll be back. All right, my Italian food fanatics, here we go. We have a couple of teaspoons of salt into our boiling water. Of course, you know that we don't put salt inside of the pot before the water comes to a boil, because doing so will eventually pit the pot. You don't want to pit the pot. Be back when we put the macaroni in. All right, my Italian food fanatics. Now we're going to put in our pappardelle. Now you think that that's not enough water, but in reality, it's more than enough. Because we want the water, when we put the pasta in, to come back to a boil as fast as possible. All right? All right, my Italian food fanatics, here we are. It's at the end of the cooking process. We're now going to take out the bay leaves because our pasta is almost ready. Okay? Of course, the thyme cannot be taken out, but that's okay. We can take this one out. Some of the other ones, as they amalgamate with the dish itself. And now we're going to take our zester and we are going to zest the skin of one lemon into our pan. Just like this. Gonna mix it around. And then we're going to squeeze the juice of this lemon into our sauce. And we'll mix this around. Add in our pasta, which is actually done. And we'll cook it for the last minute or so in our sauce. And we can adjust the amount of water or viscosity of this sauce with additional pasta water. But what we are going to do here is also add a little bit of Parmigiano Reggiano into our dish. Just like this. And we'll mix that up a little bit as well. And we'll come back and plate this thing up. Now, if they're added too much, if the addition of the cheese makes this too viscous, which this did not, we can always again adjust with a little bit of pasta water. This looks absolutely perfect. All right, let's dish it up. All right, my Italian food fanatics, we're back and it is crunch time. You saw me put it all together and now it's time to taste. This is actually a phenomenal pasta. I've had it many times before. It can also be made with pork, the other white meat. Now that is sublime. Wow. All the flavors there, including the thyme. There's a little hint of heat from that one little pepper. Those are extremely hot peppers. Then, of course, you have the Parmigiano and the lemon and the chicken and the Fennel fronds. It just all works so well. That anisey flavor comes through. It is really phenomenal. And let me tell you, it doesn't need any more salt or seasoning or anything like that. This is one of those pastas that at first you're going to think, nah, that's not going to taste that good. But once you make it, you realize how absolutely delicious it is. The first time I tried it, many moons ago, I thought, nah, this doesn't look like it's going to be any good because there's no browning, there's nothing. But I was wrong. So try it. You're going to be surprised. But before I let you go, please like, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, share, and leave me a comment. It costs you nothing to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and the little bell that tells you when I release a new video. Anyway, stop watching me eat. Go to the store, buy the stuff. It's not that expensive. The only thing that's really going to be expensive here that you don't normally buy is the fennel. But let me tell you, it adds that je ne sais quoi that you're going to come to realize, wow, I may have eaten some other meals in my life with that same flavor. I never knew what it was, but now you do. All right. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope to see you again very, very soon. Bye.